So I sweep this limb out of the way, and I can see there's a dude with an AK ready to rock with a chest rack on. But these dudes are trying to get him to put his gun down. Their ROE was different than ours. They weren't allowed to shoot unless shot at. So luckily they were both off to the side. So I came right up the middle of that dude, like right up in between the two of them. That dude.
18 deployments, dude. Omega included. What's one memory? Sight, sound, smells. That kind of still cuts deep.
Well, one mission, I guess, because it was more recent, I guess, but it was when I was at the Omega, when I was down at Omega 50 down there. We did a hit on a fighter camp through like source intelligence or human source intelligence, and a lot of times it ended up being a dry hole, but this one ended up being live, and we about 80 dudes, and I think 70, 80 dudes in a matter of no time, like an hour, 45 minutes or so.
Can you walk me through that night, what that mission was like, and kind of how that all played out?
I almost didn't go on that mission because I had gotten food poisoning probably a couple days before, and we hadn't had any missions like people think you don't go on a mission every single night always. Some deployments I did go on a mission every single night, multiple missions a night. But in Afghanistan, especially the mega stuff, it wasn't always every night. So you may have 3 or 4 days before you go on a mission. So you're just working out, training, whatever. And I had food poisoning, so I was struggling, blowing it out the bottom and the top the whole time. I assume it was food poisoning. I just didn't feel good, and I was struggling staying hydrated. So this mission came up, mind you, we had been there for like 2 months already, 2 or 3 months, and had not fired a shot on any of the Omega missions. So this one came up, and I was like, man, I told the team leader, that dude Jeff, I was like, hey man, if you don't need me on this one, I'd probably be better off to stay home. I'm just not feeling good. I've never done that. Like I said, I was a deployment harlot. I want to go on every single mission, but this one I felt that bad that I was willing to not go. And he was like, nah, brother, I really need you on this one. He's like, I really do need you. And I'm like, all right, I'll be there. If you need me, I'll be there. So, what?
I'm trying to imagine what it's like. Like you're puking and sick, and now you're about to go do the Lord's work. And
we drove a ways there, and I'm a driver. Like I like driving too because it's just like I'm a good driver. I like being in control of the vehicle. I don't like when other people are driving. So I was one of our vehicle drivers. So I'm driving along, and man, there's times where I'm like opening up the door, flipping my nods up, heaving out the door, driving down the road on a JNTV, an armored Toyota Hilux, shutting the door, nods back down, keep on going, man. It was horrible. We got there, we started walking in, and I was not feeling good. So one of the SEAL Team 6 dudes gave me a set of chicken plates. They were like just little thin steel low vis plates, so I didn't have as much. And I threw in a rack with stuff. I was walking in. I was like, all right, I'm good. I could have gone with my regular stuff, but they were making it a little easier for me. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I roll in. We walked probably 10 kilometers and super flat ground. So it wasn't steep or anything, just kind of through woods and stuff, or like fields and stuff, and around like bushes and near creeks. Well, then we show up at the place, and we see some dudes coming out, big long beards, big turbans, look like legit like high level mullahs, And so we're like, and they had suitcases, like briefcases. And we're like, and this is in the middle of the night. And we're like, what in the world is going on here? Same thing with the thing in Talifar. Something inside of me just said, I think something's about to happen. Like, there's those 2, maybe 3 missions in my whole career, the worst ones. It was like right before it kicked off, I just had this inkling. I don't know if that was God or what, that like there's something different about this one. And so I don't know what it was. So we walk up, we start sending the indige out. We have Cansof, which is JTF2, the tier 1 unit from Canada, working with us. We also had one of their tier 2 units, I think, working with us. We had Omega, so the agency, and then we had all of our people and the indige. So we probably had 150 people going in on this target. It was a huge conglomeration of people going in on this target. But most of them, you have to just put them, they're like chess pieces. You put them there, and that's just what they do until you put them somewhere else, because they're just,
How big was this facility or area you're hitting?
It was a few compounds together within a little, probably 10, 15, 20 acre area that was rumored to have 80 Taliban fighters, or Al Qaeda fighters, or whoever it was. And so we go up there, we're setting the indige in, all this kind of stuff. And then 2 Canadian snipers were like, hey, we're going to ease up a little further up ahead. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go with you guys and get eyes on the target. Wait on me. So then I told Jeff, the team leader, I was like, hey, I'm going to go get eyes on the target. It's like once I said, you know, I noticed something was different about that mission, sickness was gone. Like, I mean, I felt perfectly fine. It's like switched on killing machine now. And I'm like, I'm going up there to get eyes on the target. So I start walking up. There's a like a river that runs here, and you know how they have like a levee next to the rivers a lot of times. So there's a levee right next to the river that had trees and bushes and all kinds of stuff growing on it. And then the levee comes across and had a little trail on it. And then at the left side of the levee is a mud wall that drops down off of the levee into the compound. So on the top of the levee is a wall. Inside of the levee, dropping down about 10 feet, is a compound. So we're kind of elevated above it on this levee walking. And there's tree limbs hanging down, so you can see through the trail, but you can't see too far because there's stuff hanging down. You know how it is with your laser. You shine your laser, it just blinds off of the vegetation, so you can't see. So we're easing up, and these two Canadian guys kind of slipped up ahead of me. And all of a sudden, I hear them start yelling in Pashto. And I don't speak Pashto. They did. And they were yelling in Pashto. And I understood a little bit of it because of the Afghans, but they were basically telling this dude, put his hands down, put his weapon down. And I couldn't even see the dude because there was a limb hanging out. So I sweep this limb out of the way, and I can see there's a dude with an AK ready to rock with a chest rack on. But these dudes are trying to get him to put his gun down. Their ROE was different than ours. They weren't allowed to shoot unless shot at. So luckily they were both off to the side. So I came right up the middle of that dude, like right up in between the two of them. That dude. I had an MP7 at the time, which is a little submachine gun. It was brand new at the time. SEAL Team 6, I believe, was the first to field it, and they had just gotten at that deployment. Like, we took it out of the pack and grease, zeroed it in, and used it. So I think they told me I was the first dude to ever kill anybody with an MP7, so that's kind of cool. So I that dude. Meanwhile, mind you, there's only 3 of us. Everybody else is like a couple hundred meters back, like setting the endage and talking stuff up.
Are you running suppressed?
Yeah.
So they probably couldn't hear the shots, I would imagine.
They could, because it's a supersonic round. So it's like it's a 4.6 millimeter, super hot, but suppressed. So they're here, you know, hearing the supersonic crack. Shoot that dude. Well, as I'm shooting him, that bullet doesn't have a lot of knockdown power. So it's like going through his chest. But as he goes down, he pulls the trigger on his AK. So he fires a couple rounds off, pop, 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 into the ground. Dust kicks up. Rounds come ricocheting past us, but he's then. I just kept all the way until he hit the ground. He hits the ground, piles up. I look over to the left, and there's the fighter camp. It's like weapons are stacked. Remember, like in boot camp, you stack your weapons like boot camp in the little triangles? Weapons are stacked boot camp wise. There's dudes all sleeping in this courtyard. I see dudes moving. There's a dude crawling towards the weapons. I hit him in the back of the head. Meanwhile, all the SEAL Team 6 dudes and all the agency dudes come running, dude. They're like coming running to the sound of the gunfire. So we're up there. It's just me. The Canadian snipers, I have no clue where those dudes went. Never saw them again in my life. They jumped off into the ditch on the side, I guess. I don't know. Never saw them. I mean, they may have been doing good things. I just didn't see them. It just wasn't my focus. So then I'm these dudes in here inside the compound, and the SEALs are up. Dudes are throwing. A dude comes up out of the compound, and he's like firing with like a PKM, like machine gun, and firing. And this is actually right before everybody gets there. He's firing up at that, and the rounds are hitting this mud wall that's about 4 feet high in front of me, and so close to me that it's throwing dirt into my eyes. Like it was going under my eye pro, and I was like struggling to see because dirt was getting in my eyes. And I just kind of, in my mind, I was like, I've got to dial this in, and I have to make a good shot or I might get shot. So I just dialed it in, bam, that dude in the head with that MP7. He was only like 10, 15 yards away, maybe 20 yards away, but he couldn't see me because it's dark, but I can see him. So he's just spraying where he thinks I'm at. And I dialed in, him in the head. He falls back, busts a kerosene lantern, which catches the whole house on fire. And the house is filled with Chinese C4, and that catches on fire. And then we're inside this compound with C4 burning on fire, dropping AC-130 rounds within 50 meters of this to suppress dudes that are coming, because they're talking about, like, there's 12 dudes coming at you from here. We got a squad assaulting on you guys. I mean, dudes were coming at us from all over. We had way more people than them, but they were amongst our ranks. They had gotten through in certain spots. So there's all this stuff going on. We're dropping casts, doing strafing runs with the A-10s. Me and the team leader end up moving out to go to another gunfight that we hear on the side. And we take a knee on this one trail. And I remember like he was probably as far as from here to this little thing over here from me, just probably 3 feet to my left. I'm taking a knee. He's taking a knee. Machine gun burst goes off. And I could feel it snap, 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 like by my left shoulder. I could feel the snap of it on my shoulder, like the concussion of the rounds coming by. I'm like, God, dog, that has to be close. And then I talked to him afterwards. He felt it on his right arm too. So that means that burst of machine gun went within a 3 to 4 foot space between the two of us and didn't hit either one of us. I was like, holy crap. Then we ended up getting down. We maneuvered up a little bit more, ended up throwing some grenades at some dudes, doing like a near ambush, and then pulling back out of there. But in the initial engagement, we engaged, pulled back, hit it with AC-130 and stuff, went back in, did all that clearing and stuff. We were there about 45 minutes to an hour, and I think we killed all the bad guys that were there. So if it was 80, we killed 80, you know.